Have you ever stopped to think about the ground beneath our feet? It's soft, it shifts, it sinks. Yet, every single day, massive steel locomotives hurtle across continents at absolute dizzying speeds. How exactly do they pull that off? Well, the answer to that lies in a structural foundation that, honestly, looks completely primitive. Where we're going to unpack exactly how this works.
Let's just sit with this glaring paradox for a second. Picture a fully loaded freight train weighing upwards of 99,000 tons. That immense crushing weight is resting entirely on a bed of loose gray stones. To the untrained eye, it just looks like a pile of debris, right? So why in the world do civil engineers trust a multi-million-dollar transportation network to a pile of rocks?
Let's get into the first big piece of the puzzle, distributing that massive load and the sheer physics of pressure.
So can loose stones really support hundreds of tons? Because if you just dropped heavy steel rails and sleepers directly onto the natural dirt, that localized pressure would easily exceed the Earth's bearing capacity. The track would just sink straight into the mud, and you'd have a catastrophic derailment on your hands.
But here is how the ballast pulls off this magic trick. Step 1. The train wheel exerts a massive, concentrated point load right onto the rail. Step 2. The rail takes that force and transfers it into the sleeper, or the tie, pushing it downward. And then, step 3, the magic happens. Those loose stones completely shatter that immense pressure outward, creating this incredibly complex, interconnected network of stress-transmitting nodes.
The math behind this is actually incredible. Civil engineers rely on something called the Talbot equation to calculate exactly how this force is attenuated. The ballast creates this descending cone of pressure, which distributes the load over a much wider area of soil. That cone is literally what protects the Earth down below from completely failing structurally.
Which brings us to our next major factor, the geometry of the stones, and why their shape absolutely matters.
Now you might be wondering, if we just need to spread out weight, why not use smooth river pebbles? They're everywhere, they're super cheap, and they're really easy to find. It's a great question, but from a strict engineering perspective, using rounded stones would be an absolute disaster. It all comes down to friction. Smooth, rounded river gravel, it doesn't have any flat faces. Under the extreme lateral shear stress of a high-speed turning train, those smooth stones would just roll and slide past each other, basically acting like a bed of ball bearings. The entire track would just shift right out of alignment. That's exactly why track ballast is exclusively manufactured from highly angular, mechanically crushed rock, like granite or basalt.
Instead of rolling, these crushed rocks create what engineers call particle interlock. It's like a giant 3D jigsaw puzzle. When these jagged, multifaceted stones get packed together under all that heavy weight, their sharp corners violently catch on one another. They physically lock into a rigid, self-reinforcing matrix that provides just immense shear strength. And that is what physically stops the track from shifting side to side.
Moving on to dealing with the elements, specifically water, shock, and vibration.
So ballast is basically multitasking at all times. It's handling 4 core functions simultaneously. Aside from load distribution and track alignment, it acts as a massive shock absorber. A moving train applies intense dynamic impact forces, but those loose stones naturally absorb that acoustic energy and vibration, dissipating it through controlled microscopic movements. This drastically improves passenger comfort and protects the steel rails from snapping.
And then there's water, which is pretty much the ultimate enemy of any infrastructure. Clean, well-graded railway ballast is engineered with a void ratio of about 40%, so nearly half of that rock bed is actually just empty air. Those interconnected empty spaces act like a high-speed drainage system, allowing torrential rainwater to percolate downward almost instantly, ensuring the track never floods or rots.
But, over time, this creates a pretty massive maintenance headache. The stones are constantly grinding against each other, which creates fine dust, and then dirt slowly infiltrates those 40% voids. When the ballast gets fouled up like this, water gets trapped. Then the heavy cyclic pounding of the train compresses that wet soil beneath, actually squeezing wet mud upward through the stones. It's a highly dangerous process called mud pumping, and fixing it requires heavy machinery to vacuum out, clean, and replace all those stones.
So that leads us right into the great slab track dilemma. Why not just use concrete?
Seriously, it really makes you wonder, why do we keep piling millions of tons of loose stones across entire continents when we could just pour permanent, solid concrete foundations once and be done with it? And actually, this ballastless system, often called slab track, does exist. It's used heavily on modern high-speed rail lines and inside tunnels.
Ultimately, it's a classic engineering trade-off. Slab track, the concrete approach, has a huge upfront capital cost and almost zero vertical adjustability once it cures. You can't just easily tweak it, but it requires very little maintenance over its lifespan. Ballasted track, on the other hand, requires constant, ongoing maintenance, but its initial cost is incredibly low. It's highly adaptable if the earth beneath it settles, and again, those stones naturally dampen noise. So your standard freight lines stick to the stones, while the ultra-fast high-speed lines invest in the concrete slabs.
Finally, let's take a look at the historical evolution of this system, complete with a pretty cool nautical Easter egg. Did you know the very word ballast is actually a maritime term? Centuries ago, empty wooden sailing ships needed heavy weight down in their hulls just to avoid bobbing unpredictably and capsizing in the ocean waves. So sailors would fill their cargo holds with heavy shingle, gravel, or stone, which they called marine ballast.
When these ships pulled into port, like Portmatic in Wales, to load up on cargo like slate, they obviously needed the room, so they just dumped these stabilizing stones right onto the shores. While around the same time, 19th century railway engineers needed cheap, heavy materials to stabilize their brand new iron tracks. They quickly realized these massive piles of discarded ship stones were absolutely perfect for the job. And just like that, a nautical term permanently crossed over into the world of civil engineering.
It is just such an incredible evolution, going right from the wooden hulls of old ships to the critical foundation of modern logistics. Next time you stand at a railway crossing and physically feel the earth shake under a passing train, ask yourself this: what other seemingly primitive materials are secretly holding our high-tech world together right under our noses?